What's going on, guys? Kigerr here, and today we're going to look at Scarlet Witch and Dimensional Duel. Before we start, I want to mention when Diablo Immortal launches in about 2 to 3 weeks, I will be playing it. You can join my Discord link down below, and there's a section for Diablo Immortal, Alliance recruitment, things like that. Just chat with everyone. Let's jump into it. Alright, first we're going to start with Dimension Duel, and first I'd like to go over the abilities I'm using, and in this order. It's in this order for a reason. She kind of has combos going on in her kit, as I'll explain in just a second. Quickly moves forward to fire multiple energy orbs, dealing 3% damage. Decreases defense of enemies standing in the caster's path, which is the idea. You dash through them, similar to Doctor Strange has a move like that that does damage, but this also lowers their defense, which is similar to how Doctor Strange increases damage dealt to the target, but this works really well in all game modes, not just this game mode. If energy hits, it does more damage. I don't know how much more. It seems to be about 40 to 50% more damage, and double guard damage. Max double guard damage. I still don't know. I'm sorry. If that means because it's low 2%, so it's 2 so 4, or if it's max as if it was highest and it's 5-10 with extra guard. But we're not really trying to guard break with this build, so it's just a little bit extra damage if we hit the one target, which we're trying to do. If energy hits the same target, avoid being targeted by enemies while using skill. So if minus missiles and the web shot, some initial skills, you'll be able to just dash right through. If a Widow tries to do her exploit weakness or a couple other moves most characters open up with, you're able to dash right through, not get hit or cancel them, and then reduce their defense by 25% for about 5 seconds, dealing a decent chunk of damage. So this is a 345 base, so it's going to be roughly 500-ish percent damage. And then now that you are on top of them through the dash, you'll lead into my favorite move, Hex Projection, Hex Wave. So 30 seconds is really 15 with the max cooldown, 1300% damage with a 51% barrier. This is with special set. It's about 42 with regional, and it's 30 something with without anything. Obviously, you would want special if you're going to have it. If you're going to go for this build, or if you're doing regional, it'll be 42, which is roughly, it's fine, it's workable. The only thing I'd like to call out here is while this does 1300% damage, if you would like to have more of a tap and run playstyle similar to the Bubble Storm, you would much rather do this version, Hex Force Field. Same shield numbers, does a short AoE around you, but if you look at the cooldown, it becomes about 11 seconds versus Hex Wave being about 15. So it's up to you. 1300% damage is a crap ton, but if you're just trying to go, I'm getting my shield as fast as possible, Hex Force Field will be the way to do that. Then, so we're working on combos here. We will explain what this combo is and what once we get into specializations, but right here, so the first one we did is a witchcraft ability, which we have a specialization that if you use a witchcraft ability, does damage around you and silences. So you decrease defense, silence them, and we have another one that increases damage if they have any CC on them. The decreased defense and the silence are both CCs, and then we hit them for the 1300% damage with their defense down, with their 30% bonus on top. Just chunk them. And then now their 2-second silence is up now, right? Because this takes a little bit to cast. Then whatever skill they throw at you immediately after, we have Reality Warp. Reality Warp is probably one of her best skills, because as soon as you click the skill, you cancel whatever's happening. So there's a bunch of invulnerability or invincibility frames in MFR, and a bunch of them are like half a second delay. There's a couple that are instant. This one right here, Reality Warp, is instant. Now, while you go invulnerable for that amount of time, you also get 20% of your ultimate gauge. With regional, it becomes 23%. So with that, I'm assuming it'll be 27% with special. But the special doesn't boost this ability, so don't have to worry about that. 23% if you're trying to rush the ultimate, you can do that. But this is another witchcraft skill. Our specialization has a 12-second cooldown, so that's not going to proc right now, but later on it can at random times. And the purpose of this is, like I said, you're trying to negate the attack that they come at you with, and then get ultimate gauge because your ultimate's a monster. But this also, all 5 skills kind of work interchangeably in order to give you good outcomes. So this one, you're now invincible, and now you can reposition in a good direction so that you can cast Language of Demise, Runic Wither. So this skill is awesome. So it has so many words that it hurts me to even look at. But you put the arms on the ground, it does a quick rip. This is the runic. You put the words and then bam. It's real quick, which is why I chose this one, as well as it silences. But you throw it down, it does a silence. Also does both the curses. If they do attack skill or if they dodge, then they take damage. They also can't use as many dodges, and they lose attack if they attack. So you kind of become a pseudo tank, and you can kill Spider-Man when he dodges. That's pretty cool, right? Last but not least, we're using Chaos Magic, Chaos Judgment. This one might be the one that confuses people, because let's take a look. Chaos Sphere does a lot more damage, does roughly the same stuff. But the reason why I'm using Chaos Judgment here, they're both really quick. They're both animation times and stuff is about the same. But the reason why I'm using Chaos Judgment here is because with the cooldown, it'll be 4.2 to 4.3 seconds with a 11 stamina cost. I kind of ignore the damage here. This 262% damage versus 1,000% damage. But it has a debuff, several debuffs that last for 5 seconds. And it has a cooldown of 4.2, 4.3. So I want to always have this up. I want to punish my opponent. And you'll see that when specializations and things, when we get there. Both of them do the same thing, but I don't want to have a 5-second debuff on my target and have 11 or 12-second recast time on the Chaos Sphere. You can, if you want to play around with some things like we will talk about one of our specializations, the slot for Doctor Strange, that allows for some cooldown shenanigans on certain abilities. So you can have Chaos Sphere more often, but for most people, Chaos Judgment will be the way to go so that you keep it on your opponent. And the reason why it's in the spot that it is as I said, Language of Demise, Runic Wither silences them, so they can't use skills anyways, right? They also have a debuff for the dodging, and then you follow that up while they can't use skills with Chaos Judgment, and now if they want to use a skill, it's going to cost more. So think Iron Man, for example. He can usually do a 2 or 3 skill rotation before even thinking about stamina. Now he's really going to have to think, do I want to Spin Blade or do I want to use an actual damage ability? Because Spin Blade's going to take 40, 50 stamina, which is a ridiculous amount. Now let's get into the actual specializations. So I don't have all the ones that I recommend on this account right now. We are working on it. This is a buddy of mine's account who's letting me show you guys some stuff. So there's 3 that you need for Dimension Duel, in my opinion, and then we have 2 or 3 optional ones for the 4th. The first one that I think is super important that kind of leads into our opener, which, if you're familiar with RPGs and things like that, you normally have a solid opener, and then the rest of the game obviously changes depending on what your opponent does, things like that. And that's this right here. Hits up to 5 targets, dealing 135% damage, and silence for 2 seconds when using a witchcraft skill. First skill we use is witchcraft, 12-second cooldown, so a sixth of the time this is up, but it's also free damage. I've yet to see a silence miss. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've ever missed a silence. Even if people dodge, Captain America hits his silence, which is ridiculous, right? Next one I want to recommend is Witchcraft Dodge, and this one is worded kind of weird, but let me explain it. Increase movement speed by 25% for 2 seconds when using a dodge skill. So when you dodge, you get movement speed, letting you to weave in and out to your heart's desire. And when the movement speed decreases, so after 2 seconds, decrease cooldowns of all skills by 2.5 seconds. So what you can do is, if you're trying to be a tankier build, you can do the Hex skill that gives you the 50%, 51% shield. Dodge, well, after the shield is dissipated or whatnot, dodge, run away, 2 seconds go by, you get 2.5 seconds off of your 10-second cooldown, and probably 5 if it's already passed, so about 2 more seconds before you can cast your shield again for 50% of your HP. Ridiculous. I keep saying 50-51 because of the special gear that's on this account, but it's probably going to be 42% for regional gear. The third one that I fully recommend is Hex Magic, Hex Domination. Increase your damage if the target is immobile or status effect by 30%. Damage on damage on damage. So like I said, this goes into our opener. If someone's not paying attention, but if they don't know the opener, they could probably just die in the first 3 skills. Just bam, 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 you're dead. Because there's a small window where they can actually use skills, or they have to burn 2 to 3 of their dodges, which they don't even get a third dodge if they have the dodge decrease from our skills going on. So the 3 that you can kind of pick from on the last bit is increase your damage, increase all your damage by 30%, but increase your stamina required by 30%, same as the Iron Man one. This one will be an issue for some people because you're not going to have, you need 3 stamina on your boots to be able to do the skills that we have with this. So if you don't have at least 3 stamina on your boots or other sources, badges or whatnot, you can't make this work. I mean, you would have to give up a spot for this one. Every 5 skills, you get stamina back, 30%. Which is interesting. I don't know. I don't really like it, but you can use it if it helps you. Everyone's build is going to be slightly different depending on their roles and such. Another one to talk about right here, High Speed Hex. Increase your status effect and accuracy. I haven't had any status effect issues with the games I've played so far, but the 25% accuracy is great because it's really hard to get the 175% accuracy without having a third roll of accuracy on your chest. And this can act as a third roll of accuracy on your chest to really help you out. But that's depending on what you play against and how you're doing in Dimension Duel. The last one is right here. Let me see. Alright. So there's one more to talk about than the one that I would recommend. So when attacked while HP is 50% or lower, create a magical explosion that deals damage equal to 135% of your attack and inflicts confusion. This is situational and only really works against magic, clone stranges, or people with Hulk. Because if someone's by themselves and they're confused, it doesn't really do anything. You want to confuse them if they have summons or things for you to actually hit. I don't think many people are going to use this for PvP 1v1, but it's worth mentioning that it is here. And the one that I recommend is Chaos Reset right here. Increase the target's skill cooldown by 1.2 seconds when attacking a target within 5 seconds after using a Chaos class skill. We're using 2 of them. On a target that has status effect, almost all of our attacks status effect, and we even have a specialization that adds status effects. With a 15-second cooldown, so a third of the time you're increasing their cooldowns, while we also, with our chaos skills, are increasing their stamina consumption, making it harder and harder for them to really do anything. And if they're using Magneto badges, both versions of these really hurt how Magneto badge operates as far as stamina costs and such. Next, let's get into companions, and it's hard to even talk about companions for Dimension Duel without mentioning Hulk is an option. I don't like it, obviously, but Hulk is definitely there. And when she got released, Mordo has been changed to include her with his skill, increasing attack, ultimate gauge, and remaining cooldowns. So when you pop Mordo, you can get double cast. So you can have fun with our 3 skill kind of opener and go 1, 2, 3. And when you go to cast that 3rd skill to go invisible, you can summon Mordo, go into that 4th skill for the silence, and when that silence is done, Mordo will be done, allowing you to get your cooldowns back to go 1, 2, 3 again. It might be off by a second or two depending on your timing, lag, things like that. But that's kind of the idea here. And then you will have 60% ultimate gauge just off the base numbers. If you have any actual ultimate gauge yourself, you should be closer to the 70 to 80% mark after you do that initial opener, silence, Mordo opener. That's probably your best burst right there as Scarlet Witch. Buff your Mordo as high as you can, and then go for that interesting opener that you can do. As far as anything else, there's not really much to really talk about as far as other options. I mean, you can obviously do Icarus or Daredevil for, just damage. But as far as synergizing with her stuff, there's not really much more to mention. Next, let's get into. Now, as far as costumes, I'm not going to recommend any of the non-regionals because they made regionals pretty easy to get in the game currently. I won't recommend specials because it's hard enough for people to get. The easiest way to say it is Witchcraft or Hex for PvP. And why I say that, even though I only have 1 Hex skill on here, is the Hex skill I do have, its damage and its shield barrier goes up based off of the leveling of the Hex. So even though this is special, it'll be roughly about 1,000 or 1,100% damage for regional, and the shield will be about 42% HP with the shield. Now, what you get from Witchcraft, which is probably what a lot of people are going to go for, I prefer the Hex, is right here, Witch's Descent, because it has 345% damage. Not a lot. It does not increase the defense reduction, unfortunately, but as it says, deals more damage if energy hits the same target. So if multiple of the balls hit the same target, the damage goes up. So like I said, it's roughly 40 to 50% bonus. So with the regional, you're looking at 500-600% damage, and then the bonus 800-900% damage, just off the base number, making this really good, especially when you pair it with the 25% defense down and your automatic 30% bonus damage because you gave them defense down. The other one you get, which is probably the one that's going to sell it to you guys, it's not a lot, but it doesn't look like a lot, but it really matters. And that is this going invincible. The only thing that changes when you level this is 19.1 goes to 23%, which, like I said, it doesn't sound like you're getting much, but it can really matter. The if people are going to ask about chaos, and I think chaos is interesting. So if we look at this chaos, the instability does not change, so you don't really get a whole lot there. But the one that would change is the curses right here, curse of constraint and curse of weakness, which are currently 19.1. With regional, it should be about 23%. And while that is good, let's take a mid-range power, right? Like you're starting to look towards the end game with 30k attack. So this will deal 750 damage, right? 15 3k, yeah. 750 damage whenever they go to use a dodge or when they use the curse. Where what's the difference of that, right? So 750 down to like 600. You're losing 150 damage, right? Even if they use both, you're losing 300. 300 flat damage, whereas you're getting either 8% more of your HP as a shield, which, like I said, even with those, it's 3%, 3%, 6%. This is 8% of yours, easier to control. Whereas the other, you're getting 300 right there. And then, let me see, almost 4% extra ultimate gauge. Last but not least, let's get into. I think badges are worth mentioning just because there's a couple standouts that I like to mention. We got two right here that are kind of mix matchy, and that is Magneto slot 6 because it gives you stamina back when your stamina is under 35%. She can take a lot of stamina, so allow like if you don't have at least 3 stamina rolls on your boot, you wouldn't be able to do the 1 2 3 silence morto combo. Whereas even if you don't, if you have this, you would be able to do the full combo. Like I said, minus your lag, things like that. But this can be a good crutch to just let you have that really, really sweet opener that can 100 to 0 people without even thinking about it. The second one just came out and is one of the two that I think are worth looking at. And that's this Doctor Strange one. Doctor Strange slot 4 decreases remaining cooldown by 10%. When it goes up to plus 5, it's reduced remaining cooldown by 20% upon landing a max damage hit. You have a specialization that can guarantee max damage hits. Don't care about it. If this happens, it happens, and you're going to be happy it did. You're probably going to get it one every 4 or 5 hits. I don't mind that. When it happens, awesome. Just allows me to go into my abilities a little bit smoother, a little bit easier. Last but not least, Omega cards. Cooldown is going to be a huge thing for her, so we have my favorite, set 2. Crit damage and cooldown with a 2 set of attack. Ace. Last, we can check out one that's going to come out, be very important here, is this Maestro card for ultimate gauge recovery. Now, what's very, very interesting is with that badge, the slot 4 Strange badge, if you want to lean into that a little bit, you have the option of this Ares card for max damage rate plus 15%. So with that also gives you the 2 set attack, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's a really niche thing, but you have the option there if you need it. They added the 2 Scarlet Witch cards, which kind of does that. I'm kind of not sold on these at all. I mean, the crit damage is okay, but you can get that other places. What's interesting, people have asked about this right here, doing 1 2 3 4 of this to get the ultimate skill level. Your ultimate is good. It does not scale super well. So it is not worth doing a 4 set of slot 14. Only other ones I can really think of are slot 5 doing the defense pierce and crit damage with a 2 set attack, or slot 6 doing. Let me know if you guys think I missed anything, and tomorrow and Monday I will have group PvP and PvE.